Once in a while, when we're checking out Minecraft plugins during a live stream, we come across an absolute banger. And this happened again recently. We came across a Minecraft plugin called OpenCreative, which completely overhauls your server and then allows players on your server to create their own custom worlds. Now that is next level plotting, and it is really cool. Before we check it out, do make sure you're actually subscribed to the channel. The vast majority of my daily viewers are not. Maybe you think you are subscribed, but you may not actually be in reality, so if you could just double check, I would appreciate it so much. So the plugin is called OpenCreative, and I will leave a link to it in the description down below. And this plugin, after you have it installed, allows your players to create their own worlds on your server, with their own custom settings, their own custom builds, and they're even able to code stuff inside of that world using blocks. Yes, this plugin is actually kinda crazy. It doesn't have any dependencies, only optional ones. So if you want to get it for yourself, simply click on the link in the description down below. After that, click on download. Select your game version and platform, and then drag it into the plugins folder of your Minecraft server. After that's done, when you rejoin the server, you can see that everything is different now. Do be careful. If this is a server you were already playing on before, this plugin will completely wipe your inventory, because it is not something you can simply add to an already existing server. After installing OpenCreative, OpenCreative will become your server, so do keep that in mind. But here we go. This world that we're currently in has just turned into the OpenCreative lobby. And you can see we got a few items in our hotbar. First up, a changelog. You can read through it if you want. Pretty cool stuff in here. But the thing that we're interested in is the Nether Star, because this opens the worlds menu. And over here, we can create a world of our own. A personal space where you can bring your dreams to life in game blocks and code. Yes, that is actually pretty cool. I will show you that later in the video. But what you can do is simply click on create your own world. After that, you can choose your own landscape type. So we can choose between flat, empty, so that's a void world, and then ocean, normal, and large biomes. I'm gonna go for flat. Then you can choose your environment. So do you want a normal world, a nether, or an end? I'm gonna go for normal. And then over here, we can choose if we want structures to be generated, yes or no. I don't want any structures. I'm gonna turn them off. And after that, we're simply gonna go and click on create. And there we go. Welcome to your world. We have just created one. You can see we have a completely empty world here. Now this world is not endless, but it is also not small by any means. Here you can see the world border, and the corner of this world border seems to be sitting at x127 and z-127. But this means we have a pretty big area here where we can just do and build whatever we want. So all the way on the right side of your hotbar, we got a compass. And when we right click it, it will open up the world settings menu. And over here, we can completely customize our own world. So here in the top left, we got player management. Over here, we can manage what players can do in our world. So you can make it so that certain players can help you build. Other players will not be able to touch anything. And you can even prohibit players from visiting your world altogether. Then next to that, we got the world options. And this is where you can set game rules. So basically all of the stuff you can do in vanilla Minecraft with setting game rules, you can do that here. So do you want players to never take damage? This is where you can change that. Do you want TNT to not break anything? This is where you can change that. And do you want mob interactions? How do you want fire to behave? Do you want mobs in your world to spawn? Yes or no? And should mobs even drop anything? All of that stuff you can customize here. So lots of customization actually. And then beneath that we have options to change the appearance of our world inside of the lobby. So when we type /lobby inside of our own world, we get sent back to the lobby world. There we go. And when we now right click the Nether Star again, you can see that there is actually a world here. It is our world. But currently the name of our world is Player Kasaisora's World. And the description is My Beautiful World. And the category is Sandbox, even though I've never set a category. Now all of that stuff you can change from that menu. Now there is some more stuff you can change here, because if we click on our own world, we can decide between either a build mode and a play mode. So play mode means that you're actually playing. People will be able to join your world, and if you've made something like a parkour map, then you will be able to actually play it. If your world is on build mode, then players will spectate you when you're building a map, and you can build in creative. Now on the other side, we have public access. Here we can choose who can join your world. Currently, everyone can join this world. When we click again, nobody can join this world. So that is also something you can change. And even if you're in build mode, players will by default be spectating. But of course, from the settings in your world, you can still make it so that some players can help you build. So these two settings we can customize. After that, we simply click on connect to world. Now let's open up the world settings again. Over here, we can change the world's name. So I can, for example, name it subscribe, because I would appreciate it a lot if you did. You can see my world is now called subscribe. We can also give it a description, like subscribers are very cool. Smiley face. There we go. That's looking neat. And then we can also change the world category. So currently it is on sandbox, like you can see, but I can change it to, well, something else. Here we got adventure, like for example, parkour, dropper, or find a button. Basically like an escape room map. Then next to that, we got strategy. Then we have arcade. We got experiment, simulator, story game, and role play. And then at the bottom, we simply have sandbox. So these are all of the different things we can set it to. I'm gonna set it to adventure. So we just click. Now it is an adventure world. And over here, we can also change the world ID. By default, it is just numbered. So the world ID is 1 currently. If we want to change it to something else, like for example, subscribe, then we can do that. Would you look at that? Now, before we're gonna check out what's here in the center, let's check out what we got here on the right side. So with this button, we're able to change the player spawn location. By default, it is set to 00, but after you've been building for a while, I can totally imagine that maybe you want to change the spawn location. If you want to do that, this is where you can. Then next to that, we can change the world time. So we can set it to always day, always evening, always night, or simply change day and night, which means that time will progress normally. I'm going to do always day. Then over here, we got entity control, and this is actually pretty cool. So in here, we will be able to see every single entity that is currently in our world. So if I spawn a chicken, just like that, there it is. When we now go back to entity control, you can see that the chicken displays here. We can see its location. We can teleport to it with a left click. We can teleport it to us with a right click, and left clicking while holding shift will delete the chicken from the world. This is extremely useful to manage entities. Now next we got the code execution environment, and this allows you to enter debug mode, show variable count, show variable list, and clear all variables. Now you might be like, huh? I don't understand this. I get it. I'm gonna show you the coding part in a little bit. But these settings here could definitely be useful. And then last but not least, we got autosaving. Should autosaving be enabled, yes or no? Saves new buildings in worlds. If this is disabled, new buildings and world changes will not be saved. I'm sure you can think of a bunch of situations where not saving changes in your world can be extremely useful. By the way, something we can also do to customize our own look inside of the lobby is actually dragging in an item to change the icon. By default, it is a diamond, but if we want to set it to an enchanted golden apple, then we can totally do that. Would you look at that? Now the last two settings here at the bottom are world accessibility. Can players enter your world? If you want to prohibit visiting for a period of time, then this is where you can change that. And then here on the other side, you can advertise your world. So in case you've made stuff here and you really want some players to get on and, for example, play your parkour map or play your adventure map or whatever you've made, you can click here to actively advertise your world. So something like this will appear in chat. Kasasora invites you to the world, subscribe, click to join, and when we then click, we will be teleported to it. Now let's have a look at all the stuff we can do here in the center. So there is of course the build mode, which is what we're currently in. This means we will be in game mode creative, and it allows us to use all the blocks and we can create a map with them. It even gives us some ideas here at the bottom, like a house, a school, a shop, an island, a beach, a pool, even a basement. Would you look at that? Then down one we got the game mode, and this will by default put everyone in adventure mode. The compass has also disappeared from my inventory because, well, we're currently playing, we don't want it here, but you can very easily access the menu again by typing /world, just like that. And then down at the bottom we got the developer mode. create code for your world. You might still be very confused as to what that actually means, so let me just show you. When we click on developer mode, we get teleported to another world. And over here, we can now code things inside of our world using blocks inside of Minecraft. So you can see we have a whole bunch of stuff here in our inventory. We got player event, player action, player condition, else, useful. Then we got entity event, entity condition, entity action, function, call function. And with these blocks, we can basically tell the world if something happens, we want something else to happen. So just to give you a very simple example, let's use the player event one. I'm gonna place player event on this glass block. So I'm gonna place it on there. There we go. Now I'm gonna right click it. And you can see we have a few different options available. Player interaction, player movement, world interaction, and inventory interaction. So let's do world interaction in this case. And then we're gonna set it to, for example, player joins the world. We're gonna set it to that. There we go. Event is set to player joins the world. So this is now the trigger. As soon as a player joins your world, this block is gonna be triggered. And now we need to determine what we want to happen as soon as this thing triggers. So for example, player action. I'm gonna place it down. There we go. I'm gonna right click it. And here we now once again have a bunch of things we can choose from. So we got player state, movement, communication, parameters, inventory, and appearance. So I'm gonna do inventory. There we go. And I now want to make it so that players get a diamond as soon as they enter the world. That sounds fun. So I'm gonna choose give item to player. There we go. You will see a chest spawns on top of this block. And what we can do now is we can simply look for a diamond and we can then place it inside. Just like that. And that's it. That's all you have to do. You can now see that as soon as we go to the world settings menu and then enter game mode, which is the mode where your code will run. As soon as we click on this, we automatically enter the world and you will see that we will receive a diamond. Would you look at that? That's pretty cool. So now when I go to the lobby, just like that, and after that I enter my subscribe world in play mode, you can see that I will receive a diamond from the server. And you can do so much stuff with this. The possibilities are literally endless. This is a super simple example, but there is so much stuff you can do. You can make it so that as soon as a player enters the world, it will automatically become day, and then multiple entities will spawn, or maybe you want to summon a certain entity. Now this is a very cool feature in my opinion. And this all lives on top of all the stuff we have here already, which is a completely personal world where you can determine who can build stuff, who can enter, what they're allowed to do. And you can basically like build your own game mode in here. Your own adventure map, your own parkour map, or maybe you just want to do some creative building and you don't want others to join. That is also something you can do. And when going back to the lobby, I can simply create another world here if I want. So I can click on create another one. This time I'm gonna create a world in the Nether with structures, because why not? Let's create it. And there we go. We're in a chunk of the Nether now, where I can once again do whatever I want. Parkour map, totally possible. Adventure map, possible too. Or you just want to do some roleplay, it really doesn't matter. Now inside of the spawn, through the compass, you're able to explore worlds from others. So here you can see the two worlds that I've created myself. But if other players on this world would also be creating their own worlds, then they would appear here. Now, last thing I want to have a look at is the config, because of course there is a config. Here you can change things like the lost world ID, if players should be hidden from the tab list, yes or no, but also in what world do you want the lobby to be. By default, it is in the world called world, but if you want it in a different world, then you can change that here. Here you can also change the plugin's messages. In case you wanted to better fit in with your server's branding, you can totally do that. You can also decide if you want the coding to be enabled, yes or no. If you're scared that the coding is gonna cause too much lag, or you just want to make it all a bit more simple. Like maybe you want to make a creative plot server, but instead of the typical plot squared plots, you will have different worlds. But you don't want anything to do with all the coding, then you can disable it if you want. Scrolling a bit further down, we also have groups, and that can be kind of interesting, because here we can, for example, change the create world limit. So currently Currently it is set to 2. That is what it's set to by default. If you want players to only have a single world, you can change it to 1. If you want them to have 10 worlds, you can change it to 10. And like you can see, there is a lot of stuff you can change per group. So this is just the default group. Scrolling further down here, we got the premium group. You could, for example, make it so that the premium group is something that VIP players will be in. To do that, you simply want to install luck perms, and then to the VIP group, you want to add this permission, opencreative.group.premium, and that will then allow those players to have a limit of 4, meaning they will be able to create 4 worlds. If you don't know anything about luck perms, by the way, I've made a very detailed tutorial on that plugin. Definitely go ahead and check it out if you're interested. But yes, this is how you can make it so that some players can create more worlds and do more stuff than others, in case you want a VIP group or something like that. Here you can also change if you want flat worlds or water worlds to be allowed, yes or no. If you only want players to have flat worlds, you can just disable all of these. There's so many options. It is so great. Now, to this moment, I'm still kinda confused how this plugin is free. Like, it is so immensely cool what it can do. Being able to turn your whole server into basically a plot server, but then every single player has their own world. They can manage exactly what everyone can do. And you can even kind of code in your world so that certain things happen when other things happen. It is awesome. Definitely check it out in the description down below. And with that being said, that's gonna be it for today. Do make sure to subscribe to the channel, join my Discord. Thank you so much, channel members. And then I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. See you later. Bye bye.